Hey, welcome. It is a beautiful day today here in Southwest Florida, and I have to say I hope you're having a great day wherever you are as well. Although as much as I love winter and seasons and snow, I'm really glad I'm not in Minnesota right now. Although they're getting ready for the Super Bowl, and that's kind of fun too. I was home last weekend, and I gotta say, Minneapolis is looking pretty good. So make sure if you're watching the Super Bowl this weekend, you really pay attention to the shots of the city. And yeah, I still love Minneapolis. But anyways, today I love Southwest Florida. Hi, it's Tracy, and I am from Launch Tech Made Easy. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about lists. Now, this is nothing new, right? I talk about lists all the time and list building, and you can find all kinds of blogs about that on my website. So that's nothing new. But there is something I've run across lately that I thought that we should probably discuss. So at the end, I am going to answer questions. So if you have any questions, be sure to type them in, and I'll take a look at them when we get to the end of the broadcast. Now, today in particular, I want to talk about moving a successful business online, and actually how to move your email list from a list that maybe you gathered at a traditional business. I like to call them brick and mortar, where you have an actual building. Maybe you've collected email addresses over the years in that particular business, and now you're getting ready to move online, and you're thinking, how am I going to do this? And in a lot of cases, people just say, well, I've got these email addresses on this list. I'm just going to put them all in my new email service provider, and I'm going to email everyone and tell them all about what I'm up to. And that's not such a great idea. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And while today is probably going to apply to you most if you already have a traditional business, I'm also going to go over a lot of really good marketing practices for people who are just starting out online as well. So you're going to want to stay tuned for that. Now, when I'm talking about a traditional business, I'm meaning something that probably doesn't necessarily have an online presence. Or, maybe you send out coupons or notices of free events or speakers or things like that for your store, but you aren't really emailing people on a regular basis. So it might be that you have a store, or maybe you have a restaurant, or maybe you're a professional. Maybe you have a dentist office, or you're a chiropractor or something like that. So those are the types of businesses that I mean when I say a traditional business. And the good news is, if you're not techie, we're not even talking tech today, so you're in luck. Okay, so let's say you have a list. And maybe, like I said, you've collected email addresses from people as they've checked out at your register, or maybe when they filled out an intake form, or maybe you have been running a little side business and you just sort of collected people's email addresses as you went, and you're never really sure what you were going to do with them, but you knew you'd probably need them someday, right? Because everybody collects email addresses now. It's become standard practice. So now you're ready to move your business online, and you figure, hey, I've got this list of raving fans, and they are going to love to hear about my newest online thing. But if you've never done anything with those email addresses that you've collected, aside from maybe sending them a coupon, or maybe you send them confirmation reminders for the appointments that they've made with you, when you start sending them emails that are marketing or telling them about this new thing you're doing, your email list is likely to shrink really, really quickly. And here's why. The online business that you're running right now is different than the business that you plan to build. And there are things that you absolutely need to consider before you make that move, or when you're making the move. Even if you plan to offer the exact same services or products, your business is still going to look slightly different. So right now, your everyday clients, the ones who come in to see you, well, they're special in a number of different ways. Primarily, they feel like they know you and they have sort of a one-on-one relationship with you. So this is going to cause them to do things like drive out of their way to visit you, or maybe come in and get personal attention from you, or to come in to see you because of the experience they get. Maybe they love the flavor of coffee that you serve in your waiting room, or maybe they love that you know exactly what color it looks great on them, or you know exactly that which of their teeth are sensitive, things like that. But when you start moving online, those people whose email addresses that you have that truly love you, well, it doesn't necessarily convert, because the truth of the matter is there are some people who are just never going to go online. There just are. It seems strange, but that's the truth. The other thing is you have to be really careful, because when you go online, if you aren't careful, you can really lose that personal touch that people have come to really know you for and to expect from you. And the truth of the matter is there might be a lot of people that just aren't right for what you're going to try to do online. I mean, if you think about who's on your list right now, and then you think about what you're going to be offering online, do you really see the people in your store actually being interested in what your new online products are? Maybe, but probably not all of them. So you'll have to consider if your audience on your current list is actually going to be interested in your new idea. So if you have a clothing store and you plan to offer a course on how to create your own personal wardrobe style, yeah, then maybe the people on your list would be the same. If you have a dentistry office, however, and what you plan to teach is how to really have a fantastic social media presence, if you're a professional, then probably the people that are on your email list aren't going to be a good fit. And I mean, honestly, that truly makes sense, right? I mean, you know that the person coming in to get a tooth extracted at 1 p.m. isn't really going to get much out of an email that explains how to build a following on Instagram. They just aren't. But in the excitement of building an online business, it really often happens that successful business owners don't really think about who's on their list or how those emails got on their list before they start emailing. And so that results in unsubscribes, complaints, and maybe even a problem with your email service provider, which is no good. So when you're thinking about your current list and whether they'll be a good candidate for future emails, you're going to want to consider how you got their email address in the first place. Did they just give it to you because you asked for it? Maybe they were checking out and you said, hey, can I get your email? And they gave it to you. Maybe they gave it to you because you told them you'd send them coupons or information about upcoming events. And if either of those are true, the truth of the matter is you really should not be emailing them about your new online business. If, however, you told them what your online idea is and you asked if they'd like to be kept informed as it develops, by all means, add them to your list. Now, honestly, there is really no point in being tricky here. I mean, not only is it illegal to add someone to an email list without their permission, it's not going to serve you well in the end. I mean, it's pretty unlikely that someone who just randomly gave you their email address is going to suddenly decide to buy from you when you show up in their inbox, right? They are much more likely to complain or say that they never gave you permission to email them in the first place. So make sure you ask permission. Just send one email maybe explaining what you're up to and ask them if they want to be added to your new list. And if they say yes, great, go ahead and add them. But if you don't hear back from them or if they say no, you have to not email them anymore. And what this does is it allows you to keep your original list and send notifications like you were doing in the past in the same way to the same people, things like coupons and appointment confirmations and things like that. And it allows you to separate out the people who are really still interested in hearing about your new and exciting idea. Now, even if you do get permission from your current clients to email them, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind that to make sure that your raving fans are going to stay raving fans once you have them on your email list. So, to engage them, work to recreate those really awesome experiences that they've come to know and expect from you. Give case studies of how you've helped people. Profile some of your favorite customers. Ask people if they want to be profiled by you. Ask them for input on your new site, on the colors, on the fonts. Let them know you're still around and that it's still you behind the email. It happens a lot that people, when they start emailing, don't use their own voice. And so you're going to have to work very, very hard to make your emails sound just exactly the same as the way you would talk to somebody that walked through your door. Chat with them. If you usually have a cat sitting on the desk in your office, a live cat, go ahead and talk about your cat in your emails. If you normally have your kids at work with you, let people know what's going on with your kids. Chat with them. Have conversations with them. Don't put on that weird filter that people get that say that you have to write differently than you talk. These are people you know and who love to hear from you. Make sure that that comes through in the emails that you're sending to them. Email people on your list regularly if you want them to stay connected to you. Don't just email them when you have something you want them to buy from you or some announcement you want to make. You're going to have to engage with them the same way a little bit, in that now, instead of them coming to you, you're going to them. So make sure you take advantage of that and earn your right to be in their inbox by really providing great content for them. Offer them things you know that they're going to be interested in. Ask them questions. You know, the really, really cool thing about taking your traditional business online is that, unlike someone who's just starting out, and maybe some of you are, an online or a traditional business has an advantage because you kind of know who your customers are. You know sort of what their ages are and who likely walks through your door. You know what they look like. You know what they talk to you about. Now, granted, not all of those things you know about your traditional business customers is going to translate into your online audience, but some of it will, and it gives you a really, really great place to start. So, if you have an online business, or if you have an online business and you're having trouble getting people to engage with you, or you've brought a lot of people into your online business from a traditional business, maybe from speaking engagements that you've done, and they just aren't connecting with you, take a look at your list. Think about where those email addresses came from. Are people opening them? Are they engaged with you? Do you need to maybe go back and kind of recreate some of the experiences these people have come to know and to really look forward to from you? And how can you make them realize that they are still as important to you now that you're online as they were to you when they walked through your front door? It's a very important distinction to make, because that you cannot underestimate what that connection will do for you in terms of bringing customers to your site and to buying the products and services that you have to offer. So just because you have a list of 3 or 4 or 5,000 people who have shopped with you and have given you their emails, don't make the mistake of thinking they're all going to buy from you online. And if your email list does significantly decrease when you bring them online, don't sweat it, because if that happens, those are people that were probably going to buy from you anyways. And by really focusing on the people who are on your list, you're going to continue to grow, and word of mouth will spread, and your business online will soon become as successful as your business offline. Now, are there any questions from anybody? Let me take a look here. Oh, here's one. How do I go about asking for people's email addresses? It seems awkward. Well, actually, this is a really great way to test out your new business idea. So put together an elevator pitch, okay? And if you aren't aware of what an elevator pitch is, it's a way to explain to people what your new idea is, but you need it to be concise enough that if they got into an elevator with you on the ground floor, you would be able to explain to them what your new idea is or your business is before they got off the elevator. So you need to really refine that and make it sound natural and sound really interesting and compelling, but you need to get your point across too, and you need to do it super quick. So if you do have a traditional business and you know you're going to go online, using this elevator pitch one-on-one is a great way to practice the elevator pitch, for one thing, and to get used to saying it naturally. But it also is a really great way to sort of get questions from people. Like if they say, oh, that's interesting, tell me more. You know, oh, That's a question I'm going to have to address, right? So it gives you a good way to practice what you're telling people. And it not only gives you a good way to practice what you're telling people, it gives you a way to kind of refine your idea. Now, if it is awkward for you to be doing this in person and you just feel like, I can't ask this. I can't ask these people for their email address, then the reality is they shouldn't go on your list. If you're not comfortable about talking to them about your new business idea in person, you shouldn't go and be sneaky and just start sending them emails. You have to be proud of what you're doing and ready to go out there and tell the world about it. And if you can't do that, you got to rethink what you're up to and maybe build your list a different way. Okay. What if I have all different types of people on my list? Okay, now this can happen if you've been collecting emails without any real rhyme or reason. So what you're going to need to do is sort these people out. So if you're talking thousands of people, this is going to be a huge project. Maybe you can sort them out by the date they were added, so you can kind of tell, oh, a bunch of people got added on this date and I had a live event, something like that. Maybe you could send to just the more recent ones, the people who you really remember. But in whatever your situation is, if your list is big, if it's say 500 people or more, and you can't go through and sort of sort out who these people are, whose email addresses that you have, you really shouldn't be sending them just a big mass email. You're going to want to go through and identify those people that you know, that you have a relationship with, and have a personal conversation with them, or send them a personal email and tell them what you're up to and ask if they're interested in more information. Don't just send out a big mass email. You're going to run into all kinds of problems. There are scrubbing services out there that you can Google that will help you clean up your list. But in general, don't just mass email a bunch of people if you don't know where those email addresses came from. The reality is there are laws around this. And my blog post last week, I talked all about those laws. And so I'll put a link to that below the video, and you can go back and look at the blog post. It's called the CAN spam law. You can get asked how people got on your list. So if you email 5,000 people and 3,000 of those email addresses are bad, or they bounce, or you get marked as spam by a bunch of them, you can get your email shut down where you can't send emails anymore, and they can ask for proof of how you got those people's email addresses. And if all the proof you have is, well, they told me, they gave me their email address, but you can't prove why or when you got it from them, that's a bad thing. So just really be mindful of how you're collecting email addresses. Okay, I think that's it for questions. I wanted to tell you about one other really exciting thing. Now, I do realize that there are some of you out there who maybe joined my list because you were interested in launching, and what you got from me is sort of like, here's how you do it. These are the tech steps. But what you don't know is what a launch even is, and I haven't done a very good job of maybe explaining that to you. So I have a really, really cool thing coming up for you. Starting next week, I will be able to give you access to a really awesome 3-part free course on launching online. And I'll be doing that through Jeff Walker's product launch formula, and I'll be able to give you access to this free class. And the class itself is wildly popular and very successful. And I used it myself to launch my business. And there are thousands of people around the world who have used the same business. Now, the course is, like I said, it's 3 videos long, and it's going to talk about what launching is, and it's going to walk you through all the steps of setting up your own online launch. So if that's something you're interested in, I'd love to make sure that I get that information to you. So please go ahead and put your email address in. Well, let's see. You don't have to. Why don't you email me? Don't put your email address below. Email me at tracy@launchtechmadeeasy.com, and I will make sure that you get access to this free training. There's no strings attached. Just email me and let me know that you would like access to the class, and I'll get you added. That's all I have for you today. I don't see any more questions. Have a great day. Bye-bye.